Greetings, music lovers. Roger Bowie here from music.net.nz. Today I'm rapping with Miller Yule. With a name like Miller Yule, you have to know that there's some country in there somewhere. But you're more than just a country music singer. Is that right, Miller? More than just that?
Yeah, I feel like, the country folk acoustic thing is definitely at the core of it. I write all my songs on acoustic guitar, and just growing up with my dad's record collections full of country folk as well, but definitely enjoy picking up the electric guitar and getting a bit louder as well.
Rocking it out. And I first saw you in Gore in 2019 with Tangled Up. Yeah, that was your entry into the songwriters. I thought you should have won that competition.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Yeah, and I always loved the Gore competition, and I like the fact that it's for unreleased songs, and no one knows who you are. I'm sure the judges can tell who the contestants are that enter every year, just by their trademark voices. But yeah, Tangled Up was a special song, and I just had it kind of lying around before this whole album came to fruition, and so I thought, yeah, may as well chuck it in there and see what happens.
Speaking of an album coming to fruition, it's your debut album. It's out Friday. It's called Let It Burn, which is the title and not a song, but it's been quite a journey. Did you ever think it wasn't going to happen? Yeah,
it's been more of a life journey than I planned it to be. Timelines have changed, the world's changed since I recorded it. I released an EP in 2016, an EP in 2018, a bunch of singles as well, and then we got into the album record in 2019, which seems like ages ago now. And everything was kind of trucking along, and it felt like this upward trajectory. And then, yeah, just the whole world changed, and plans had to be shifted, and life happened to me. Things happened in my life that I had to just go, okay, let's focus on myself and just step away from the album for a bit. It's going to be a great album no matter when it comes out. And then kind of just recuperating and recharging during the pandemic and the lockdowns, and figuring out the plan. And now here we are.
Yeah, that's great.
And it's terrifying and exciting at the same time.
But yours is not an unusual story in the context of the last 3 years. But COVID must have added additional tension and frustration. How does it feel having all that music sort of locked up, but not, it's sitting there, but you can't get it out? That must put additional pressure on the old soul. Yeah,
like even thinking, driving, here to the studio today to have this interview, I was thinking, what if it's almost like it's hard work getting the album out, but it's worth the hard work. And I don't like saying the suffering, but there is an element of suffering to it, because I'm kind of a one-man show, and the pressure and the fact that I'm so emotionally connected to all of it, there's an element of that suffering to get it out into the world. But the suffering that would happen if I never released it, I think would hang around forever. That would have to be an ongoing journey of accepting that. Like
a stillborn child.
Yeah, it's like you have to go through it. And I'm not saying that as if I'm not excited for it to come out on Friday, but I'm also not going to lie and say it's been a wonderful journey. It's been a really hard journey, but rewarding, and I've grown so much as a person at the same time.
Oh, that's cool. I'm glad you could look at it constructively, because I just feel for you guys. In the normal circumstances, it's hard enough to get a debut album out, but anyway, let's talk about the record. There's some singles already out, and quite a dynamite video. There's a story behind the video. Tell us the story of Let It Burn.
Yeah, well, Let It Burn, I couldn't figure out a name for it for months as well. And the whole, it was going to be called Dynamite after the opening track of the album, because I felt the dynamite kind of encapsulated the whole sound and feel of the album, which is a pretty explosive kind of there's some pretty hard-hitting tracks, and it's not something that you can just put on in the background when you're having dinner. But thought, no, I'd like to have a theme and a name that isn't a track on the album, and eventually came to Let It Burn for several reasons. One was I love the Beatles, and they obviously released Let It Be, and I had a few other kind of names from classic albums from classic artists that I enjoy, but I thought Let It Burn fits because of Dynamite. It's explosive. There's some pretty passionate songs, some fiery songs. There's a lot of themes that travel throughout the different songs as well, that are all about lights and flames and whatnot. And then also the journey I've been on that we just chatted about. When you let something burn, it can be anything from well, even the journey of fire, I suppose. Dynamite, there's the spark, the ignition, it explodes. There's love, you become engulfed in the love, and then there's the passion, and then everyone talks about a flame dying out, so there's heartbreak when flames die out, and then you try and save a relationship when it's kind of just the smoldering ashes. It's gone, but there's still this kind of these embers, and then there's some smoke, and if you're confused, you don't know what's going on. There's a bit of my mental health journey in there as well. And it just felt like this whole arc of a flame blowing up and then burning and then dying away again. And then there was other things like, fire is such an important part in human in evolution and stuff. And then you've got birthday cakes, you blow a candle and you make a wish. People get cremated, and it's just that raw element of you burnt to ashes, dust, you let it be, you let it go. And so that's kind of that's how my mind works. And it's kind of like, this album is my 20s, let's cremate it and let it go.
That's extraordinary.
Yeah, that's how I know most people probably will just look at it and be like, oh yeah, cool photo, cool title. But to me, that's the meaning.
I'm glad I asked you that question.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fascinating. I mean, Deep Purple put a whole album out called Burn. I don't know whether your dad had that.
Oh, I might have listened to it way back. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, look, the Beatles analogy is much better. So lots and lots of influences. Who do you think should come through when we listen to the album?
There was definitely a good chunk of artists that we were referencing when recording the album, and I had my favorite albums that I'd played over and over throughout my 20s. Had elements of, I love this production technique, or I love this guitar sound, or and there's definitely, as well as my dad's record collection, my own kind of influences. So that can stem from, your Bruce Springsteen, Tom Petty, Ryan Adams, I think, has been a huge influence for this album. And then, I mean, there's other stuff for me, like I'm a big fan of James Bay, who's kind of Americana, he's an English guy, Americana kind of stuff as well. Even some early Matt Corby stuff. Coldplay, Codaline is a great band from Ireland that I love. Even 1975, which is completely different from me, but there's still elements of that I in the session was like, this guitar solo, let's chuck it in, kind of do our own version of it. Yeah.
Because you must have grown up surrounded by sound with your father being in the studio and with radio, and you work in the studio yourself, do you not? Or? Yeah.
So, I mean, the story around that was obviously, my dad being a recording engineer and, legend within the industry. I was growing up in a house where he had his recording studio and artists always coming and leaving, and he was doing various projects. But other than that, he loves music, and there's always music playing when you would be at my house, whether it's, you're up in the morning on a Sunday, Dad would put something on to match the Sunday morning mood. Or if it's, mum's cooking dinner just on a weeknight after school, he would still put on something to match the mood. And so I've grown up with there's always something playing, and there's always music for every occasion. And I've kind of, I remember speaking to my flatmate, kind of describing music as like, you can go about your day without music, but music is kind of like salt and pepper and spices and herbs, and it's just whatever you're doing in your day. I just feel like music just makes it that bit more flavorsome. You could be vacuuming, but vacuuming with music is so much more enjoyable. Doing a workout, but doing a workout with music is so much more enjoyable.
I sort of don't agree. I don't think you can go through a day without music.
Yeah, well, it's like eating food without,
I do agree.
Yeah, it's like eating food without, salt and pepper or flavor.
Yeah. Well, that's
cool. But yeah, I had learnt drums from, I think, intermediate age. My parents, me and my cousins and my brother would make little bands during the school holidays, and I always gravitated to the pots and pans. And yeah, we did a little family concert, and my parents thought we need to get Miller drum lessons. So I was a drummer all through high school, but it wasn't until after high school that I thought I want to learn how to record and write my own songs, and
right.
kind of followed in my dad's footsteps that way.
Right. But the other thing that's remarkable, you've got a remarkable array of technical support from all over the place. I mean, you've got mastering done in where one's in round mead in London, the others in Nashville, and you've got Scott Seabright from Big Pop here. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So I mean, being a recording engineer myself, and with my dad, my first EP, or my first 2 EPs, we recorded ourselves. I mixed it myself. Obviously, the very first EP, Shoot Me in the Heart, I played all the instruments and did that thing. And then after releasing that, thought I never want to do that again. Great learning curve, and huge respect to everyone that does everything on an album. But I thought next time I do a big project, I need to get some outside help to get me to that next level. And so that's when I reached out to Greg Haver, who he replied, I think, within about half an hour of me messaging him some of my demos, and he just said, let's catch up for coffee. Love your stuff. I've heard of your previous stuff, and I've been looking for an artist like you to make an album like this for years. So he wanted to make the album for himself as much as for me, which is great. And then he just had this team of people, and it was just the best experience. He said, Miller, you just show up and you sing and you play guitar. That's your job. Scott's going to do the tracking, and then we've got this band that was just a class band playing all the parts on it, and then sent it off to Clint Murphy in UK. He mixed it, and then he sent it off to Ryan Smith at Sterling Sound in Nashville, and he mastered it. So it's gone all around the world.
All around the world, and that's the beauty. That's the wonder of all of that sort of stuff has become the rule now under the lockdown rules. People are building albums from all around the world, which is a positive thing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. And so you play all the instruments, or
not on this album. This one I got to take a breather and step back, and because I am a multi-instrumentalist, but I feel like I can do a reasonable job of a lot of instruments, but it was so much more fun and rewarding to get someone who's a lead guitarist to be the lead guitarist. He can obviously do things that I can't do. Tom Healy was on guitar, and
Tom Healy's on it. Okay.
And then Stephen Small on keys and organ. Greg Haver, who produced it, actually played the bass. I mean, not the drums. Sorry.
Yeah, he does.
Well. And then Mike Hall on the bass.
Mike, I know Mike as well.
Yeah, it's an amazing lineup of players. And I remember the pre-production in the studio, just as we were warming up, and we're like, oh yeah, let's run Dynamite, and we'd never run Dynamite together, and we just kind of counted off, and it just hit me in the face. It was just the best feeling of these guys, they get it. It's great.
Yeah, that's an impressive lineup. Are these guys supporting you on the Galatos?
No, so at the live show, Oh, Steve's going to be on keys, but I've got another band, a backing band that I played with for years,
Right.
Whitechapel Jack.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and they're great friends.
Yeah.
And they know my tunes as well. They've supported me for so many years. But yeah, the guys that are actually playing on the album, some of them might actually just be in the audience enjoying the night, which I think will be quite nice.
I'm sure they will be. I'm sure they will be. So what does Miller Yule's journey look like from now on? I mean, what constitutes happiness?
Happiness, yeah, I mean that's part of the big journey I've been on as well, is figuring out what I want. This week is just, yeah, taking it step by step. You know, leading up to Friday and making sure I tick all the boxes of what needs to be done before Friday when the album comes out. And then I definitely have one of those personalities that I find it really hard to savor the moment. I'm always thinking ahead what needs to be done. And so I really want to just go, okay, yeah, there's a bit of chaos this week, a bit of stress, a whole lot of things that need to be done, but enjoy it. This is your debut album release week. Enjoy Friday, and yeah, just pinch yourself to be like, you've gotten to this point,
Yeah.
and appreciate it. Because I'm also one of those people that, you know, a year from now I'll look back and I'll go, oh man, I wish I just took a bit more time to take a breather and enjoy and, you know, smell the roses kind of thing. So trying to be mindful this week, I guess.
And you must have more songs coming through.
Yeah, no, I've always keep writing. That's I suppose that's the great thing about being an artist, but it's also like your job's never done. So once this album's out, it's going to be, you know, taking a breather.
It's so for more time.
Yeah, taking a breather over summer and then looking ahead and figuring out, you know, what I want to do next with whatever songs I've got lying around.
And are you going to go on the road?
There's a few gigs up in the air at the moment over summer that we're looking into.
Right.
But at this stage, it's just the big show at Galatos. And then I suppose just open to whatever opportunities pop up over the next 6 months or a year.
Very good. Very good. I know Nancy's given us 20 minutes, but
so we can keep chatting.
So no, that's good. Well, we'll look. Let It Burn, folks, is out this Friday. It's a bloody good album. I've been listening to it. I'm going to review it, so I haven't.
Oh, awesome! Thank you very much.
Haven't talked too much about the individual tracks, but we'll get to that. But let me tell you, folks, it's a beauty. It's very rocky. It's got a lot of country tinge and some cool ballads as well. It's quintessential Americana. I put it in there. And if you like Tom Petty and a whole lot of other famous rockers, you're going to love Miller Yule's debut album, Let It Burn. Congratulations, mate. All the best for the album. I'm going to wrap it all up at that moment. It's a wrap with Roger. I've been talking to Miller Yule. Thanks, buddy. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.